President. Just to wrap up here and to address a couple of issues and things. I think that we are heading in a positive direction with this legislation, which will protect lives and reduce deaths within Virginia. I can tell you that on Monday I had a number of people advocating for gun rights that came to my office. I met with every one of them that came to my office. I found them very civil. I found them very engaging, and we had good conversations on things. And actually, a couple of them even made suggestions as to how to improve some of the things that are being considered here. So they were being constructive rather than just being in opposition to things. I think that was a positive thing and something that we can continue to build upon. One of the issues that's been raised is law enforcement officers. I will tell you that we have statements from a number of law enforcement officers in states that have implemented this, something similar in terms of this legislation, who are very supportive of it. They may not have been supportive but prior to it being in place, but now find it a very useful tool and talk about the number of lives that they have saved, and particularly in many instances, the numbers of suicides they have saved and the thanks that they've gotten from families as well as the individuals who are contemplating suicide. But also say that one of the first states to enact such legislation was Indiana. Indiana enacted this type of legislation, and it's been supported by Vice President Pence and many others in Indiana since then, was as a result of someone who had talked to the police in Indianapolis, the capital and the largest city in Indiana, and who said basically that I'm going to kill a police officer. The police went to the officials in their department and to some of the legal people within the city and said, what can we do about this to be able to prevent this person from being able to do it? And the answer they got was, there's nothing you can do because he's not committed a crime yet. That person did shoot in cold blood a police officer in Indianapolis, killing him. And it's actually, in that case, it clearly was something that had that legislation been in place prior to rather than shortly after the killing of that officer, almost certainly that officer's life would have been saved. I think there are a lot of reasons for having this tool in place to improve safety for the residents and the people of Virginia. I thank many of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle for addressing issues and working on this in constructive ways. And I can tell you that this is a process. And I think we in the Senate and in the General Assembly do ourselves well when we are working and raising issues and challenging things that people believe and help to get to the best solution. And I think that the legislation that we have now is a clear improvement from many perspectives over what was introduced in this particular situation. And I will say to my friend from Spotsylvania who raised some of these questions that this is a process. I'm going to continue to listen to anybody who has concerns about this, and we may make further changes throughout the process. Thank you, and I hope it be the pleasure of the body to adopt this.
Thank you, Senator. Question is, shall Senate Bill 240 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk, close the roll.
Ayes 21, noes 19.
Ayes 21, noes 19. Senate Bill 240 passes.